making tzatziki?
It's my first time. And I went ahead and prepped it ahead of time so that it could have time to rest and everything. And it was easier than I was thinking it would be.
Yeah.
Much easier.
Fairly easy.
Yeah.
Did you use cheesecloth or paper towels?
Cheesecloth.
It's usually easier with the cheesecloth, but if you know, when you don't have any handy, paper towels work fine too.
I was really surprised about how much liquid came out.
Isn't it amazing? I haven't put mine together. I'm going to show you. So I just took mine out this morning as I was starting to get everything ready for work. So here's mine in the cheesecloth, in the strainer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all the liquid that's come out of this Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
While it's been sitting. So of course you want all that liquid to come out so you don't have all that water, and you're going to do the same thing. And I know that you did already with the cucumbers.
Mm-hmm.
How much water was in your cucumber?
A lot. It was about somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 cup, I'd say. And I drank it. The cucumber juice is really good for you.
I like water with cucumbers in it, but I cannot say that I've ever. Well, you know what? I usually don't drain my cucumber. So the way that I do my cucumber is I put it in. So I put it in a food processor and chop it up really good with the garlic. So I put them together, chop it up real fine, put it in the cheesecloth and just let it sit. So I really don't have a lot of water that I have. I mean, I could, I guess, if I wanted to, but I just let it sit like this and it just dries up and it's ready when I'm ready to use it.
Oh, okay. So I used an English cucumber and I used my box grater and I grated it on a paper plate.
Okay.
And then I put it in the cheesecloth with the strainer, the mesh strainer. And there was so much juice on that plate. And I'm like, I can't imagine this would not be good. So I went ahead and drank. Steve and I split it and it was delicious. And then,
that's awesome.
It sat overnight in the fridge. Mm-hmm. And there was between 1/4 and 1/2 cup of juice, and I did salt it, so it was a little bit saltier, but you know me, I like salty. So I went ahead and drank it this morning and it was delicious. I liked it a lot. Tasty.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yep.
Never ever in all the years that I've done this, never ever thought to collect the cucumber juice. I mean, I drink water with cucumber and lemon and all that stuff in it, but I've never like drained a cucumber and drank the juice out of it.
It has great health benefits. I suppose if you do it on a regular basis, it would be fantastic.
I bet you're right.
So refreshing.
This was kind of like my week. I was like, let's do there were 2 things that you haven't done before. So we basically said, we're going to make these 2 things and then we'll make something else to go with it or let them stand on their own or whatever we want to do. So do you want to share the other thing that we're making tonight?
We're cooking with lamb and we're going to make some lamb meatballs. I could not find harissa. The last time I had the harissa paste, I had ordered it online. We searched every store that we have here in Pahrump and there was no harissa to be found. So I'm going to improvise, which I'm very good at. And we'll see what happens.
Fantastic. I love that.
We're going to make some lamb meatballs and we're having tzatziki sauce. At my husband's request, we are having ours in a pita, similar to like a gyro. We're going to make the meatballs, put them on a pita bread with some tzatziki, some feta cheese, and some dill. And I still have some Kalamata olives here to go in it. And as I stated in the opener, I could not find the harissa paste. So what I'm going to do is improvise. I'm going to use some tomato paste, some paprika, and I have this Greek seasoning that I'm going to use. So we'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure it's going to be good either way. So anyway, we're going to get to making the meatballs. I've got the lamb in a bowl here. I'm going to put in, I've just got this little teaspoon. I'm just going to put in maybe like 2 tablespoons-ish of tomato paste just to give it some of that tomato flavor. I'm also going to put in some paprika. I've only got about a good maybe half a teaspoon in here, so I'm just going to dump this in here. 2 tablespoons of this Greek seasoning. Now look at this, it smells so good. I'm also going to put in a package of feta cheese. This is a 6-ounce package. I'm probably only going to put half of it in there because I don't want to overdo it because we want to put some feta in on our pitas.
We are doing, as we stated in the beginning, lamb meatballs, and we're making our own tzatziki sauce, which is a yogurt, cucumber, and garlic sauce, which is fantastic for dipping and putting on gyros and dipping vegetables in and doing whatever you want to use the tzatziki for. So we got a lot going on. I'm going to get started with the meatballs. I'm going to get the ingredients together, get them in the oven. It's already preheated to 375. And then we'll get the next piece going. So I'm just going to kick this up a little bit. Let that preheat while we start making the meatballs. I have 1 pound of ground lamb. The secret tonight that I'm using is harissa sauce, and I'm using a spicy one. So again, harissa sauce is like a Moroccan sauce. It's red chili pepper, red bell pepper, garlic, olive oil, salt. So basically just a red pepper sauce. And it has the most wonderful flavor. Oftentimes when you have sauces that are spicy, they don't have a lot of taste to them. Yeah, they might be hot or they might be spicy, but there's not a lot that it brings. This has so many different levels of flavor and taste and spice. I love cooking with this. So I'm going to add about 1/3 cup to start. We might add a little bit more in depending on how wet or dry this is when we're finished. I have 5 ounces of crumbled feta. I'm going to add probably about 4 ounces. I'm going to save a little bit so when I plate my dish, I've got a little bit of feta left over. I have 1 egg I'm going to add. And again, I'm not going to add a lot of other spices to this. I really want the harissa sauce to be the star of this dish, so I don't want to overpower it with a lot of spices, but I will be adding some. I have a 1/2 tablespoon of oregano, a 1/2 tablespoon of rosemary, and a 1/2 tablespoon of thyme, and 1 teaspoon of white ground pepper. And we're just going to toss those in. I also have a 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. And I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. I have some, you know what? I have some Celtic salt that I just got, and I'm going to pop that in there. This is a very, very salty, so I want to make sure that I kind of hold back on that a little bit. And then I'm just going to mix this up. And you know what? Sometimes utensils don't do it, and you just got to get in there and get your hands dirty. The harissa sauce was perfect, so it's still a little bit wet, but it's not sloppy wet. It still holds its shape. And that's it. That's all you do for these lamb, feta, and harissa meatballs.
Feta cheese, the paste, the seasoning, and I put 1 egg in there. And I'm just going to mix this all up with my hands. I don't want to put too much extra stuff in there because I just want to taste the meat and the cheese and the spices. I'm going to put these in the refrigerator and let them sit for a good 15-20 minutes so that the flavors can all meld together.
Our meatballs are ready to go in the oven. Again, it's preheated to 375. I'm going to put these in for about 20-22 minutes, check on them and see if they're done. They should cook really quick. To accompany the lamb meatballs, I'm making a saffron orzo. I'm going to toss into this garlic and shallot mixture about 1 cup of orzo pasta. And we're just going to stir that around and let that get nice and toasted. You can see the orzo is toasted. It's been on for about 4 minutes or so. I'm adding 2 cups of chicken stock. I'm going to add 2 bay leaves, about a 1/2 teaspoon of saffron, and I'm going to add some salt. Pinch to start. You can always add more. I'm going to bring this to a boil, turn it down and let it simmer so the orzo pasta cooks about 12, 14 minutes or so.
This is the tzatziki sauce that I made. I've never made this before. It's super easy, much easier than I imagined. And it's so refreshing. It's just some Greek yogurt, some cucumbers, some dill, some lemon juice, garlic. I've got some garlic in there. Um, and I mixed it all together. I mixed it by hand. You can use a food processor, but I happen to like the little bits and pieces of cucumber and dill in there and garlic when I'm eating it. So it's fine with me. And after I got it all mixed up together, I drizzled some olive oil over the top and I put some salt and pepper on there. And it's been in the fridge for probably 2 hours or so made. And it looks so delicious. I can't wait to taste this. It's going to be yummy. Thank you, Sissy, for the recipe.
There are a few things I can think of that go better with lamb feta harissa meatballs than some fresh homemade tzatziki, which is Greek yogurt strained to make sure all the water's out of it that can possibly be out of it, and I'll show you how we do that. Some finely chopped cucumber, some garlic, some olive oil, some salt, and that's it. And it's the best sauce. You can use it as a vegetable dip. You can use it on meat. It complements so many different things. Crackers, whatever you would use a dip or a sauce for, try to make your own tzatziki. As Sissy said, she thought it was going to be difficult. It's really fairly easy. Before I went to work this morning, I prepped the yogurt to get it to start straining. And basically all I did was I took one of the big 32-ounce containers of Greek yogurt and I put it in cheesecloth, which is over a strainer, which is over a mixing bowl. And this is how much water, can you see that? That's how much liquid has come out of this 32 ounces of yogurt. So once I finish all this, I always put it back and I just put it in the same container and I write on the lid, it's tzatziki and the date that I made it. And you can actually see once you put it back in there because it was full when you started, and it actually only fills it about 3/4 of the way up. All the rest of that is liquid. We don't want that in there. So we're gonna take our yogurts, we're gonna rinse the bowl out, and we'll use this to mix everything and put it back together. Minimal effort on this one, friends. Okay, here is our yogurt. You'll see it's very stiff, dry, almost like a cheese. We're going to take this out of the cheesecloth. We're going to dump it into our bowl. I also took one large English cucumber. I did peel it, cut it up, put it in the food processor with 4 cloves of garlic. I like my tzatziki a bit garlicky. Obviously, you can determine how much garlic you want in yours. It's been sitting in this cheesecloth in another colander to make sure that you get all the water out. So this is what it looks like again. You want to make sure that you get every bit of that water out so your tzatziki isn't watery. Nobody likes a watery tzatziki. If you don't have cheesecloth, paper towels work fine. You're going to go through a lot of them, but they work fine. Loving this already. The only thing I'm going to add to this is a little bit of olive oil. And when I say a little bit, that's Sheri's little bit. We're adding olive oil. I'm going to add some coarse salt. Give it a good stir. Taste it and determine if you want to add a little bit more salt, a little bit more olive oil. I can already tell you that this is going to need a little bit more olive oil for me, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. Maybe just a little bit more of the sea salt. Though I don't usually, I think I might add a little bit of dill to this batch of tzatziki. Maybe just a little bit. It's maybe 2 tablespoons of dill weed. You could use fresh dill. Dill and that cucumber go very well together. Perfect. I'm going to put it back in the yogurt container, put it in the refrigerator, and just kind of let it sit until we are ready to use it. So as I stated in the beginning, again, you can see how much water had come out of this. This was a full container of 32 ounces of yogurt when I started. After the water drained, I've added the cucumber, the dill, the olive oil, the garlic, the salt, and everything else, and it's still only about 3/4 of the way full. Let's check on our orzo. It's cooking very nicely. It smells scrumptious. It smells so yummy. I love the beautiful yellow color. It's going to continue to simmer on a very low. And all I have to do now is wait for the meatballs to get done.
These meatballs have been resting, sitting in the fridge, getting all flavorful and stuff for 20 minutes. I flattened my meatballs out a little bit so that they would cook faster. So they're like little mini lamb burger patties.
Real quick, going to finish up the saffron orzo risotto. This looks like it's about done. So here at the end, I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of butter, a little bit more salt, and I still have the bay leaves in there. I'll leave them in there until I'm ready to start plating this.
It looks so good. Oh, they smell so good. Oh my gosh. And of course, I did flatten them out. And of course, they plump up. So they're back to looking like meatballs. I'm going to flip them all over. These look really delicious. I'm going to take them out of the roaster, the cooker. I'm going to set them on this paper towel plate and let them rest for a few minutes. They look so good. They smell amazing. So these are the delicious lamb meatballs.
How was your first lamb experience?
Well, we're going to know here in a couple minutes because as far as the smell and the working with it goes, it was fantastic. And I'm not going to lie, we did have a little taste test here.
There always has to be one meatball that doesn't make it from the pan to the platter.
Well, yeah.
So tell me what you did.
Well, I mixed up the lamb with a little bit of tomato paste, some paprika, some feta cheese, and that Greek seasoning because I didn't have the harissa. So I used the tomato paste. Harissa doesn't have tomato, but it does have that red flavor. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I cooked them in my my grill cooker roaster baker thing. I've got some Kalamata olives and oh sissy, this tzatziki. I cannot believe that I have not made this and eat more of it sooner.
I did while I was waiting for the meatballs to cook. I did a saffron orzo.
Oh,
So I put the meatballs over top. I've got the tzatziki, some feta cheese, the Kalamata olives, some chopped up pepperoncinis. I also have, I was waiting on you, toasted some pita. So I just put them in some olive oil in a pan on the oven and just kind of toast them on both sides.
okay.
To heat them up a little bit and put some oregano over the top of it, and dinner is served.
Oh, that sounds delicious. I do like that. Rice sounds really good.
Well, it's orzo, so it's not necessarily rice. It's a small
I
pasta.
had the pitas. I just put them in the toaster oven on 400 for a couple minutes and wrapped them in some foil.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put some tzatziki on this pita like a big glob of it and smush it around.
Smush it, sissy. You gotta smush.
Oh yeah, let's smushy this all around here. That looks good, right? And I think I'll break the meatballs in half. I flattened them out a little bit before cooking so that they would cook a little bit faster. I'm just going to break up. Oh, that looks like enough right there. 2 meatballs. Put some olive on it, a little bit of olive, just like 1 or 2. Fresh dill and some feta cheese. Oh yeah. I cannot believe that this has not been in my life more often.
Well, I bet it will be going forward.
Definitely will be. So here we go. That looks good, right?
Absolutely.
You could also, I guess, drizzle a little more olive oil on here if you wanted to.
I
Or
would.
put some onion, tomato, something like that.
Absolutely.
Let's give this a
Onion
little
is the only
taste.
thing that I don't have, that I would usually have with this. I don't have any onion. I had some shallots, but I used that in the orzo. So what's that tasting like, sissy?
Oh, I can't even say. It's amazing. Thank you, Sissy.